Good morning and happy Friday. We have
Brittany.
Greg Fox here. It's our pleasure to have him on the show. He's the owner of Rowhouse Restaurant, one of our favorite restaurants here in Topeka.
Thank you.
And not only that, but you have now written 2 cookbooks.
Yes.
And the latest one out there, New York City.
All right, this
We
is the
have it.
new. It's going to be a series of 4.
Okay.
So Out There New York is the latest release. The first one is called Out There Spain, and there's going to be 2 more coming up in the series.
Wonderful.
But I think the story of New York is really a romantic one, so great to promote at Valentine's Day.
Absolutely. Okay, give us an idea of how this all came about in the New York City version.
In the New York City version, I had visited this apartment shortly after I got back from the Hamptons. A friend of mine is kind of watching over the place while it's in flux, like the owners are not there anymore. And the really interesting, what I think is the beautiful story about it, this is all recipes of cooking for 2. So it's a great gift for Valentine's Day, and of course I'd like to see you at Rowhouse for Valentine's Day, but it's also nice to learn how to cook small-scale recipes. But both of the books and the rest of the books to come are really about the adventure, and then that happens to be filled with recipes. So in this one, in this apartment, which was built in the 70s, these 2 men, this one and this one, were prominent figures in New York. They'd bought this building at a time that New York was kind of in decline.
Okay.
In the 1980s, when I moved to New York, I met Chris Packard, who's a former Topekan who I'd never met, and we became friends. We lived in a building that they used to live, and now the 4 of us are kind of interacting through this story.
Okay.
So it's kind of weird. I spent a lot of time there, and there are a lot of moments where I felt I was talking to their ghosts.
Oh, interesting.
So-
So what's neat about these cookbooks, it's not just, a cookbook with recipes, but it really is a story as well.
They take place in real time,
Yeah.
so it starts from before I get to the journey until it finishes, and all the recipes are what happens in that time period. So there's a lot of stress involved. I'm trying to let people get a glimpse of my journals that I keep.
Nice.
And it's very personal, and it's a really fun story about getting out of your head and just getting your food made.
Yes. Okay. Well, we don't have much time, but give us an idea of some of these recipes here.
So the fun thing about this book is if you were to say have a project like we're going to do this in 10 days, we're going to cook all this food,
Yeah.
It also teaches you how to use the leftovers. So one of the dishes that I thought was fun, we'd done dinner the night before, and then the next day I did a rice bowl out of things that were left over from the night before. Just to say, hey, we can use up all these things as opposed to letting them sit in the fridge.
Yeah.
One of the stories of the men, John Sugg, who lived at the apartment the last, both of them are died. He existed on only popcorn.
Loves popcorn.
And
I love
broccoli.
popcorn.
So one night I was feeling a little melancholy, and I wanted to do a recipe in honor of John.
Okay.
And so I made creme brulee for 2. So what you see here, these 2 containers, that's all that the recipe makes. Which,
They're pretty small,
yeah,
you can tell
this
here.
is a single serving. It's made with the salted caramel that's also in the recipe book, or in the book. And then it's topped with popcorn for the crunch, and a little bit more caramels drizzled over it.
Yum.
I'm going to make sure that Brittany gets to taste
Oh, yeah.
that.
I will be tasting
And
this.
so it's really kind of a love story, each recipe. And the whole book is filled with things like that. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, Greg, thank you so much for being here this morning. And of course, Valentine's Day, this is a great gift idea.
Yeah.
It's always fun to cook at home, and these are some great recipes that you can cook with your loved ones.
Amen.
All right, Greg, thanks for being with us.